the ETF Inspector. It's Saturday, June 7th, and in this video, I'll be going through my trades and positions within my trading account to see how I did in this previous week. So if you're not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, up to 598 on that goal of 1,000. I won't be going into any yield max funds or anything like that in this one. This is just if you're interested in what I did this week. Alright, so we will start with the three leaps. Poor man covered call off of a leap. So started off buying, we have APLD, Applied Digital, bought a leap, so a long-term, deep in the money call, and then I started selling calls out of the money off of that to make profit. But if you followed the market, leap or APLD went through the roof. So when I first started this, APLD was at $5.81, and I had to go ahead and close it out because it got too out of control. I had calls sold for $6.50, expiring June 20th. But then on June 3rd, I had to close it out, and I had to pay $3.80 per share to close it out. But that was okay because my leap had gone up even further in value. So all in all, I ended up doing all right. Obviously, that wasn't the plan. The plan was to run it all the way through January 2027, just selling calls each month. But so I was able to sell my $2 call for $10. No, I'm sorry, $8.30. I don't know why I'm so zoomed out. Sorry. All right, so I had to purchase the call that I had sold against it for $3.80, but I was able to sell the leap for $8.30 or $830 minus the commission. Because the stock was all the way up to $13.86. It just went wild. So there was no chance of rolling. I just couldn't roll it, not even close. So at the end of the day, I made $80.31, 18%. So that was based off of the amount of money I used. I made 18%, $80, starting with 200. And that doesn't sound right. Nah, it wouldn't have been 200. Yeah, 400 and some dollars. And so in the amount of time, if I would have continued making those trades throughout the year, it would have been 112% annualized. But so I made $80. At least it's not a loss. But that one's closed out, so we won't talk about APLD anymore. The other two will just real quick because we didn't make a trade. So just an update. Last time we talked, we sold them out till June 20th for Intel. The price was at $21.37 at the time. We sold a strike of 24, so they were 12.3% out of the money. They'll be, today's only the 7th, so there's another 2 weeks left on these. The stock's only at 20.06 as of close on Friday, so they're even further out of the money, getting cheap. I'll probably end up closing them next week and selling the next month. So I started off paying $8.95 a share for the 100 shares in the leap, and so far have collected $60, $15, and $25, and then closed them out each time for $1. So we're just chipping away at that. We've got that down basically $100 from the time we started. And then at the end, we'll either roll it if we want to keep doing this again, or we'll just sell the leap and close the whole thing out. But it's a poor man's covered call. Basically, if you didn't want to have to put up all the money to buy 100 shares of it, right? Because if I had bought 100 shares when I started this, I'd have had to pay $2,267 to buy the 100 shares. Instead, I bought a leap and I paid $895, so less than half of the money needed as collateral, and then I was still able to sell calls off of that. So it's just a way to have access to more expensive stocks to trade options off of if you can't afford the 100 shares. It's not that I couldn't, but this was a new concept for me, so I wanted to try it out with a couple stocks. Finally, the last one is on SoFi. Same thing, no trade this week. Also sold till June 20th. I've got a $14 call sold against them, and the stock closed at $14.24 on Friday. So with 2 weeks left, they're not really at risk. Somebody's not going to probably call these shares away just because the stock's up 24 cents. If it gets out of control next week, I'll roll it. If not, I'll just let time decay keep on going. Started off paying $683 to open this one. We've already talked about these. Collected 36, 101, and 42. But I did have to pay fairly expensive once when the stock jumped of 100. So I've paid out 111. I've brought in 140, 180, about 190. Okay. Next, we will go into the wheels that we have going, and these we did get some action this week. So we already talked about Bitto last week, that we had sold a cash secured put, sold and closed. When did we do it? At the end of the week. So now started a new one. It rolled into this week. It was for $21 back when the price was at 22, because now we're talking about puts, right? So they were 4.8% out of the money. I collected $43 premium, and then I closed them. I wanted to roll them on Friday out till next Friday. I just couldn't end up getting the roll that I wanted, and it turned against me late in the day. So at one point I could have closed them for 5 cents, but I was trying to get a roll and collect a certain amount of premium for the following week. It never happened, and then the price of the stock went down, so the premium for the buying the put went up. I just ended up paying to close it out at the end. I didn't want to get assigned as just yet here with Bitto. I'd like to have it closer to 20. So I paid 10 cents per share, or $10 to close it out. And on Monday, unless they have a big up day, if they go down on Monday, it'd be great. I'll sell another put for Friday and just keep going. Bull, similar story. Let's see. We already talked about it. I forgot to gray it out. May 27th, I sold one expiring on June 6th. Maybe we didn't talk about it, but collected 30 cents. Had a $11.50 strike price while the price was at $12.92, and then the stock started dropping. But I closed out that on Friday, so that's where this trade was. I had to pay 63 cents to close it out, so I sold it for 30, had to buy it back for 63, so that's a $33 loss. But I did that as part of a rolling order to sell it out till next Friday. And that's right here, $11.50 still, and collected 93. So kind of breaking even right now. I'd like to get the strike down. I wasn't able to roll down just out because then I wouldn't have collected enough money. So the stock ended at 10.96. So very quickly started selling these puts on May 27th when the stock was nearly 13, and it's under 11 already. But this is another one. I don't mind owning them. Obviously, it's a wheel strategy, but I'd like to own them at a little bit cheaper price. So I don't mind getting assigned somewhere in the 10s, 10, 10.50. But IonQ, this one's been my favorite this year. Tons of trades on them. Got assigned, got my shares called away a couple weeks ago. And so now just kind of getting back into it. So this week on Thursday, I sold two puts at 37.50 while the stock was at 39.32. I collected 41 cents per share premium, and I didn't. That's 2 days till expiration. That's not two contracts. It was only one contract for 100. Collected $40. And then on Friday, I went ahead and closed them out for 3 cents. So sold them on Wednesday for 41, bought them back on Friday for 3. That's a win. And went ahead and rolled down also, right? Went from 37.50 all the way down to 35 for next Friday, June 13th, and collected another $45 for it. So stock ended on Friday at 39.02, so still well away, 11, almost 12% away from that price. So I am going to avoid assignment on this one because I originally got assigned at 30, where are we? 39 and 35. Okay, I sold tons of calls all along the way, but they eventually got assigned at 31.50. So they're not going to take into account that I collected enough money to make a profit throughout all these. They're just going to look at the fact that I bought them for 39 and 35 and sold them for 31.50. So if you're familiar with wash sales, that's going to look like a loss. So after I sold it for a loss at 31.50, if I were to buy it back above that price within, I think it's 30 days, it's going to trigger a wash sale, and it's going to not allow the loss when doing your taxes. So I, for 30 days, am going to avoid getting assigned these shares anywhere above 31.50. If somehow I end up getting to sell the puts down below 31.50 and they got assigned, that'd be perfectly fine. Or if we get out past 30 days, I think it's 30 days is the thing, but make sure you look it up. So then I would let them get assigned. But let's see. All together now, I've made almost $900, or 88% average between all my annual returns of capital. So I enjoy trading IonQ. This was if you watch Retire on Dividends, he talks about degenerate plays. I decided to make a degenerate play. So unless you live under a rock, you saw President Trump and Elon Musk get into a little tiff on Thursday, and Tesla tanked. So when they did, I said this is an overreaction, and I started selling puts on TSLL, which is a leveraged, I think it's 2 times leveraged Tesla fund. So thinking that it overreacted and it should come back, I'll sell a put. The stock that's a fund. Price should go up, and I can collect some money. So what I did on Thursday, you can see 6.5, 6.5, and 6.5. I sold $11 for this past Friday, $10 for the next Friday, and $9 for the Friday after that, collecting 34, 44, and 36. That'd be cents per share, but it comes out to dollars because it's 100 shares per contract. So I collected a decent amount of money. And then on Friday, I closed out these $11 puts, even though the stock ended at 10.50. I was able to close out the 11s, so I just had good timing in the day, for 12 cents. So I sold them for 34 and bought them back the next day for 12 cents, and I rolled them down to be a duplicate of the other one that's expiring next Friday. So now I have 2 sets here and here, $6.13, $10, but I was able to collect another $64 selling that one. So very quickly, collecting a decent amount of premium. I've collected $177.54 just this week, and we'll see how it plays out. I won't mind if I get assigned low, because I'm sure I'll be able to make some decent money selling calls on these as well. So I won't be avoiding assignment necessarily. All right, so that was all of my options type plays. And then I have the different dividend funds within the account. Most of them are the yield max ones we talk about. So I have YMAX, where I have 205 shares, Ulti 406, Misty 107, Nefli 103, AMZ 103, and Aptly 102. These are funds that I used to have but don't any longer. But since they have already paid some distributions that go into my total, I left them on there and just zeroed everything out. So what I take with these the weeklies, every week I get the payment on Friday. If the price is below my cost basis, I'll buy more. So I was able to, I think I bought more of YMAX, but my trade didn't go through for Ulti, and then it went above my 613 cost basis, so I didn't want to buy any more. I'll just hold off and wait till the next time it gets below it. Misty, obviously, since they just paid out big $1.47 distribution, they dropped below my cost basis, so I bought 7 more shares of them. Did the same thing with Nefli last week, and then I got payments for AMZ and Aptly this Friday and was able to get 3 and 2 more shares for those since they were both below my cost basis. You don't really care about that. They're just ranked in order by current investment. So overall on these, I've lost $242 in capital, right? So the value, what I've put in versus what it's currently worth, dropped $242. But this month alone, I've already collected $311, and that's only accounting for one payment on these 2 weekly payers, as well as we haven't had a June payment for Nefli yet. So doing well, and overall, out of all of them, I've collected $1,628 on the year. I wasn't in all of them for the whole year, but I don't know if we need to go into, this is kind of just the breakdown tracking them, but that all carried over. Used to be in YMAG for the weekly payments, switched it to YMAX. I just like that fund better. I think they're going to make more premium on the overall, all the different individual option income strategies than they would off of just the Mag 7 ones. And then Ulti's Ulti. I love it. That's why we make the video on them. So I think that about covers it, right? So I will still collect, 3 more payments from each of Ulti and YMAX before the end of the month. And I'll also collect another Nefli. And I think actually, I don't know if it's this month or next month, some of these funds in here are going to end up getting, since they're every 4 weeks, you're going to get it twice in 1 month. So, all right. I don't know. That's about all I have for the update. So if you liked it, great. If not, I'm sorry. I'll be putting out the week look aheads for the other 2 videos I make, most likely tomorrow. So watch out for them. Have a good day.